These are Chinese government special forces conducting a so-called decapitation drill, only days after U.S. forces arrested Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. It was Beijing's message to Washington that it can do the same thing against Taiwan. The successful U.S. raid on Venezuela has struck a major blow to China's strategy in Latin America, according to China expert Gordon Chang.
Well, China has used Venezuela as its beachhead, and it's a very important country for China. China used Venezuela not only as a place to get cheap oil, but it also was a place very much for military penetration.
Venezuela had become the largest purchaser of Chinese military equipment in Latin America, some of which failed miserably during the U.S. raid. According to Latin American analyst Dr. Ellis, the event will not remove Chinese influence in Venezuela overnight. It's too vast.
It's also in the mineral sector, working with Corporación Venezolana de Guyana, CBG. It's also deeply embedded in the telecommunications sector, in the retail sector, and in other places.
China has infrastructure projects all over Latin America, from ports to rail, factories, mines, and hydroelectric plants. However, in Venezuela, it was building infrastructure that could be used for war against the United States.
If we ever went to war with the PRC in the Indo-Pacific, their ability to use access to Western Hemisphere space to target U.S. satellites and indeed perhaps communicate with some of their own offensive vehicles — they have something called a fractional orbital bombardment system — would be very important.
To kill orbiting U.S. satellites.
And the loss of Maduro is only the latest in a series of setbacks for Chinese leader Xi Jinping.
There are reports Xi is purging the military after what some say was a coup attempt. Chang says the nation remains mired in a social and economic malaise, with young people refusing to have children. The birth rate last year hit the lowest level since the Communist Revolution in 1949.
And that's why they call this the garbage time in history, and why people in China are extremely pessimistic about the direction of their country.
Under pressure from Trump, some Latin American nations may be cooling toward China. However, Victor Gao, considered an unofficial spokesman for the Chinese government, says China has no intention of leaving Latin America, telling Singapore TV channel CNA.
President Trump and the U.S. government's pretense that they can resurrect the Monroe Doctrine or insert the Monroe Doctrine to Latin America is completely false. China will never allow that to happen. If they want to have war, they will get war.
And in a recent war game, Chinese forces fought a simulated battle in Latin America. Dale Hurd, CBN News.